Correspondent Brian Entin was telling us earlier, it's probably a ways to go before we're actually having that conversation. He's back from Tucson along with the forensic criminologist Laura Pettler. Laura, in a moment. Brian first on that, and you know, they don't think it's gone cold yet, right? Even though it's day 20. But what are they saying today? Anything new?
They've been relatively quiet today. I don't think anyone on the ground here thinks the case has gone cold, just because there have been a lot of developments. They've made progress. The surveillance photos that came out, we know that they're working the DNA behind the scenes, and there's probably a ton that we don't know. We just got an update a little while ago, a lot of the same information. And I told you this already, but what I found the most interesting in their update is that they said once again that there could be more than one suspect, which is sort of a theory that I've heard about over and over again, that while we saw the video of the person at the front door, there may very well have been one or two people at the back of the house.
So let's talk about that a little bit, Laura, because one of the things that, you know, as I said a few minutes ago, that was disappointing to some is that there was like not this direct DNA match in the database on the glove, right? But now as you go into further DNA testing, you might be able to, and maybe you could explain the process for this, get a match, or to Brian's point, matches if it's more than one person. What should we be expecting? Here's some of the genealogy and how it works, but also how long might it take?
So the genealogy is a great tool, but it does take some time, and they're basically building family trees using extensions of like extended families, like cousins, aunts, uncles, people like that. One of the challenges with it is that the databases they have access to have a limited number of DNA profiles to build from, as opposed to a database like Ancestry.com, for example, that my understanding has more than 50 million DNA profiles. So using something that has more DNA profiles would obviously be helpful, but that is not an option, and therefore they have to do this in a bit more of a painstaking way, to be honest, using a limited number of profiles. And then moving forward, if that helps, they can use the DNA to identify a family and then hopefully narrow the scope from there. So but there's plenty of other things to do as well besides the DNA.
All right, you can mention a few of those, but one follow-up on that, Laura, just so I'm understanding it properly, because it's been a bunch of people have been talking about this. So like the large companies that we know, and someone does, 23andMe or use Ancestry.com, it's like there's no, those private companies that have these big databases do not give access, right? So you're saying they would have smaller access. So does that just limit a whole bunch of people, or just make the process more painstaking and take longer?
That is correct, Connell. My understanding is that Ancestry.com, 23andMe, and companies like that, they have put up barriers that basically prohibits law enforcement from accessing their databases, as opposed to some of the other ones that are accessible to law enforcement. They just contain much fewer profiles, like something compared to maybe 50,000 or 50 million in Ancestry.com to maybe 2 million in one of the databases that's accessible to law enforcement at this time.
And the other thing was, what are the other methods or avenues you were alluding to before I go back to Brian that they could go down?
Yeah, so, you know, cold case investigation is extremely different than hot case investigation, and you have to shift gears. And one of the things they can continue to work on is narrowing the suspect's scope by analyzing her routines, determining if these ransom notes are actually staged or real, and defining the geographical area for searching. And I think that they're trying to do all three of those things while this case is still hot. If it shifts to a cold case model, then the entire trajectory of the investigation is going to shift as well.
That's interesting. What would you add there, Brian? Because you, as you were saying, it seems like there's some time before that shift would ever take place.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was looking back at older cases that I've covered, some of the big ones. I mean, Koberger didn't get arrested for almost 2 months. I think it was like 48 days, something like that. Gabby Petito, you know, her remains weren't found for almost a month and a half. So, you know, I know that we are anxious here, and in some ways it feels like forever, and it's day 20, but when you look at other big investigations, they can sometimes take time. And I do think the investigative genetic genealogy could really could be big here, but it's going to take time, as you said. It always does. But they've got DNA from inside the house, from a stranger. So that's something that I really think could pan out.
And then the idea, Brian, just to button up this point, is that it could, the thing today that's being talked about, and I'm interested in maybe why it was emphasized today, we probably don't know, but more than one person as a possibility, or at least not being ruled out, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. Or a getaway car driver. I mean, could someone have parked a car up the road? You know, it's so dark out here. It seems like it would, I mean, to actually, I mean, I hate to think about this, but to be able to move Nancy out and get her away and down the street, and it does seem like it would be the job of more than one person. But at the same time, I mean, I think it's been 20 days and you've got the full resources of the FBI investigating this, and there's so much pressure, and you've got President Trump applying pressure. The fact that they still, you know, haven't sorted this out, and if there's more than one person involved, it makes it even kind of more mind-blowing.
It does. Laura, thank you. Brian, as always, thank you. And Brian's coverage continues. In fact, he's going to be answering